In the name of the most gracious, merciful of Allah, welcome to the English revision for Grade 10, presented by Mr. Abdul Hakim Al-Dabah. And in this video, we are going to discuss these points. Number 1, how to write an argumentative essay. Number 2, future forms and the difference between different future forms. Number 3, we are going to handle if conditionals. And number 4, we will discuss modal verbs. Fifthly, and the last point, we are going to discuss some very important reading questions. Let's start. Firstly, regarding the argumentative essay. In the exam, you will be asked to write an argumentative essay. So first of all, you have to know what's the difference between argumentation and persuasion, or what's the difference between argumentative and persuasive essay. This is argumentative essay. It's a kind of essay to discuss the topic from 2 points of view: supposition, which means pros, and opposition, which means cons. It consists of 4 paragraphs: introduction, 2 body paragraphs, and conclusion. When it comes to the persuasive essay, it's defined as a kind of essay to persuade the reader with just 1 point of view, supposition or opposition, and it consists of 5 paragraphs. So the clear difference between argumentative essay and persuasive essay is that in the argumentative essay, I'm going to handle the topic or the issue from 2 points of view: the persons who support the case and the persons who refuse the case. This is for the argumentative essay. But in the persuasive, we are going to handle the topic from just 1 point of view. In this cluster, we are focusing on the argumentation or the argumentative. In the exam, you will be asked to write argumentative essay of at least 5 paragraphs. As we said, starting with introduction, first body paragraph, which is for the supporters, and second body paragraphs, which is for the opponents, and the last and the 4th paragraph must be for the conclusion. We will discuss all these parts in details in our presentation. Firstly, what are the parts of argumentative essay? As we said, we have to start from the title. And secondly, introduction. In the introduction, I will raise my thesis statement. Then body paragraphs. In the body paragraphs, I will try to construct topic sentences. I will build main points. I will counter the opposition. And lastly, the conclusion. So I have to know the title, then the introduction. In the introduction, I have to write the thesis statement. In the body paragraphs, I have to construct topic sentences, and I have to build main points and counter the opposition. Finally, I have to close my essay with the conclusion. Let's firstly start to talk about title in the argumentative essay. You may ask me, why do we need title? Why is it important to have a title for the argumentative essay? The title introduces the topic of discussion to the audience. The title attracts reader interest in the argument. How to create the title? There are many ways to create very effective and wonderful titles for argumentative issues. So try to grab the attention of the audience or the readers of your essay by the following ways. Firstly, offering a provocative image, asking questions. The questions are very, very important when you start or when you want to start the argumentative essay. It attracts, or the questions attract the attention of the readers. And pay attention to that. In the argumentative essay, when you write the title, avoid the titles that are too general. Try to be specific a little bit. Let's move to the second part, which is introduction. In the structure of my essay, I have to start with the introduction. So what's the introduction firstly? The introduction is a piece of writing that acquaints the reader with the topic and the purpose of the paper, of the piece of writing. It means that the introduction helps the reader to know the topic and to know the reason why are you writing your essay. The introduction generates or attracts the audience interest in the topic. So also the introduction offers a plan for the following argument. We can say that in the introduction we tell the audience what we are going to tell them. So in the introduction you tell them what you are going to tell them. And in the body paragraph or body paragraphs, you have to tell them the points. Lastly, in the conclusion, tell them what you told them. I mean, you will summarize your points in brief. How to construct attractive and effective introduction for my argumentative essay. There are many ways to do that. We can start with personal anecdote. Personal anecdote is a good way to start your introduction. You can start with daily life examples, whatever these situations or examples are real or hypothetical situation. And you can start the introduction with a question. And you can start also with a quotation. You can start the introduction with statistics to mention that 70% of the people who eat fast food are suffering from different diseases such that. So these are good ways to start your essay, or these ways can be used to write a very effective and wonderful introduction. And also you can or in the introduction, also you can draw image or to handle one of the figurative language. It's also one of the most important and effective ways to write an effective introduction. In the introduction, I have to write what's called thesis statement. So what's thesis statement? It's the most important sentence in your paper. Thesis statement lets the reader know the main idea of the paper. Answer the question, why I am trying to prove. Why am I trying to prove? Thesis statement, not a factual statement, but a claim that has to be proven throughout the paper. Let's move to talk about the body paragraphs and the topic sentences. So we have finished talking about writing the introduction, and we have handled some ways or some different ways to write the introduction. Now we are going to move to the second part in writing our argumentative essay, which is writing the body paragraphs and the topic sentences that must be found in the body paragraphs. As we said, we have to have at least 2 body paragraphs, one for the supporters and one for the opponents. Body paragraphs build upon the claims made in the introductory paragraphs and organize with the use of topic sentences that illustrate the main idea of each paragraph. Body paragraphs are offering a brief explanation of the history or recent development of topic within the early body paragraphs. You can help the audience to become familiarized with your topic and the complexity of the issue. Your body paragraphs may be ordered in several ways, depending upon the topic and the purpose of your argument. Your body paragraphs can be organized as following: from general to specific information, from the most important point to the least important ones, from the weakest claim to the strongest claim. When I offer the counter argument, I address the claims of the opposition, which is very important. So addressing the claims of the opposition is an important component in building a convincing argument, which means the opposition paragraph, you have to mention that, the disadvantage paragraph. The counter argument demonstrates your credibility as a writer. It means that you have researched multiple sides of argument and you have come to an informed decision. The counter argument shows you have considered other points of view, that other points of view are valid and reasonable. Finally, which is the last structure and the last part of our argumentative essay. In the lastly, you have to write the conclusion. Now let's see what's the conclusion and how can we write the conclusion and what's the importance of the conclusion and what are things that must be written in the conclusion. Your conclusion should re-emphasize the main points made in your paper. This point means that you have to retell or rewrite or rephrase your points or your claims that you mentioned in the body paragraphs. These points must be rephrased again or written again in the conclusion, but in brief. In the conclusion, you can raise your recommendation, which means your advice to the audience. In the conclusion also, you have to tell your point of view. But in the conclusion, try to avoid raising new claims. So in the conclusion, you have to re-emphasize the main points and raise your recommendations and point of view. And lastly, you have to avoid raising new claims in your conclusion. Remember, when you write argumentative essay, your introduction tell the audience what you are going to tell them. It means it gives a kind of prediction to the reader that you are going to talk about different points. And the body paragraph or body paragraphs tell them the points themselves. And in the conclusion, tell them what you told them. It means you have to summarize all the points in your conclusion. Thank you for your watching and listening. This is the end of the first section in our revision.